Welcome back. I wanted to tell you, if you're just joining us, we are streaming live. So there's going to be times where we need to ask our guests to refresh their stream. I'm sure you all can understand how that goes these days. Next up, we have a series of keynotes that I want to share with you. The first one is moderated by SingleStore CEO Raj Verma. He's going to be talking to SingleStore's Chief Product Officer, Jordan Tigani, and the CEO of SiriusXM. They're going to talk about differentiating with data. They're going to talk about the new functionality that SiriusXM is implementing and why they chose SingleStore. The second keynote, I get the opportunity to sit down with the Chief Data Officer of GE, Diwakar Goel. We're going to be talking about managing the complexity of an industrial conglomerate with data. He's also going to share with us some things about how and why they replaced 32 data warehouses with SingleStore. And the third keynote coming up is a fireside chat. Again, CEO Raj Verma sitting down with President of Infosys, Ravi Kumar. They're going to be talking about new ways of managing data, what customers want, and trends in the database space.
Good morning and welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce my absolutely partner in building this organization, Jordan Tigani. Jordan's our Chief Product Officer. And it's such a pleasure to have you with us, Jordan, and thanks for making time. I know it's a big day for you and me. And I just wanted the SingleStore community to hear from you of the new and exciting things that they can expect in the future. And how are you feeling about being here? So before I go any further, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself to, of course, the SingleStore community and the community at large.
Thanks, Raj. Yeah, so I've been at MemSQL for the last few months, and before then I was at Google. I was running the product management team for Google BigQuery. Previously, I had run the engineering for Google BigQuery, and then I was also one of the founding engineers of BigQuery. So I have a long background with SaaS databases and building databases at scale, and I'm really excited about what we're building here at MemSQL.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great to have you here. As I continue to say, Jordan, you got not only 10,000 hours in the database industry, you probably have 35,000 hours in the database industry, and it's great to have you as my partner here. So let me tell you the story from my side. I think you and I did speak about it over a glass of wine the other day, but I remember reaching out to you. It was probably 7 months ago. And it was a wish list. And I said, only if I could get Jordan Tigani to be our Chief Product Officer, everything else would be okay. And I remember reaching out and you saying, we should call, but why would I join MemSQL again? At that time, MemSQL. So tell us from your perspective, what did you feel of that call? And how did you decide then to come partner with me?
Well, so first of all, I thought an in-memory database, that seems a little bit niche, and so then we talked a little bit more, and I learned more about MemSQL, and realized, wow, it's actually a lot more. It's a lot more than just an in-memory database. The stuff that MemSQL is building were things, and MemSQL had built it and was running in production, were things that I had wanted to be able to build at Google, things they could do that we really couldn't do. A lot of people want sub-second queries. They want sub-second queries over their large data sets, and at MemSQL, if it's taking longer than a second, it means probably something is wrong. And I think a lot of the other data warehouses out there are not able to hit that kind of performance. So I saw that there was something there. There was a technological moat that was going to be difficult for competitors to cross. And the other things that other databases have, that was really just engineering. Kind of MemSQL had solved the hard part. And there was they say it takes 10 years to build a great database, and MemSQL has now been around for for almost 10 years, and it really kind of is coming into its own, and is now quite mature. And so there's a huge opportunity in the database market, the data analytics market, and I think MemSQL is at a perfect spot with it's not raw material, it's actually some quite refined material that's just ready to go just about anywhere.
Yeah, and much like you, I need to get used to calling it SingleStore, so rather than MemSQL. But I think I do follow what you mean. The one thing that was very intriguing, Jordan, in my conversation with you, as you were deciding to come in, and I think by that time you were relatively intrigued by the possibilities or the art of the possible. And you said something about building a fancier mousetrap versus fundamentally changing the way the world views and uses data. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. So when I was thinking of coming here, somebody my coworker was kind of describing there's two ways that you can build a new business or build something new. And he said one is, you can build a better mousetrap. You have an idea that's an evolutionary addition to something that exists out there, and that's the easy way to go. Because people already have in their mind a model for what it should be, what it should look like, but it also seems relatively limited because you're not gonna create a new category. You're not gonna push people beyond what they're currently doing and introduce them to something that's actually different. The whole the Henry Ford and faster horses thing, like that's sort of the simpler way to go. And then the other option is actually building something different, and that's hard because you have to create something, a new model, a new category, a new something from scratch. And I really think that's what MemSQL has been doing. And they are a database that operates under different operating conditions in different areas and different areas and different workloads than people are used to. And yeah, it's a little bit harder to kind of get that and get that out with the kind of the breadth that we'd like to see it. But once that works, then that's when you really have that you've built something new, you've built something different.
Yeah, no, and at SingleStore, I think what was very intriguing was when you started to say how the future that you sort of saw in your mind's eye was the ability to write one serverless API SQL query, really, to access all different kind of workloads. And in fact, let me confess that was actually the trigger for the name of the rebrand. So firstly, tell me a little more about that single SQL command, and share that with our viewers. And then answer the question of what you truly think when I came up to you and said, let's call the company SingleStore.
Yeah. So, I think one of the hardest problems in databases is not the actual running your queries part. It's actually moving data around. And the late great Jim Gray, who database pioneer, said, you want to move your compute to the data rather than the data to the compute. And one of the problems in databases is you have your operational database and then you have your analytical database, and you have to move it from one place to the other. And so people do ETL and extract, transform, and load into the other database. Sometimes they reverse that and do ELT. But with MemSQL, because it can work as a transactional and an analytical database, you can just do a T. You can just transform it in place, or you could even go one better, as you just sort of kind of do a virtual transformation and don't even make a copy. And there's something super powerful about that you just need one You just need one database. When you're talking about breaking down, data silos, that's one of the key blockers that other technologies haven't really been able to do. And so when you said, what if we come up with a new name, or what if we change the name to SingleStore? And first of all, I thought that was a fantastic name. It's actually one of the what we've been calling the internal storage technology at MemSQL, our hybrid row and column store that we kind of had which are the two main types of ways of storing data in a database, and we kind of had combined the best of both worlds. And they say that in computer science there's only two hard problems. One is cache invalidation and the other is naming. And when you get the right name, like, it's just so much else falls into place. And so SingleStore, I think, is the right name because it's not only can describe how our technology works, but also the fact that, yes, we want to be the single store, the single place where you have your data, and when you have your data there, that's where you run your database workload. So sometimes a name just fits, and I think SingleStore in this case just fits.
I think that was a great answer, Jordan. I think the stuff that you've been talking about, bringing compute to storage, is a conversation that we would have later on in this show as well. And I believe you have a very important announcement to make as well. So how's it been? A few months into SingleStore and a few months of partnering with me. And how do you feel? And what has been the thing that's excited you the most?
So it's been a blast. I like to say I can't complain because I have just so many great opportunities working with such great people. And what I've really loved is the fact that this position has enabled me to work really closely with customers, and customers who are putting us through our paces, pushing us to do things that perhaps we haven't been able to do before, or nobody's been able to do before, and really kind of getting an interesting view into their businesses and how a database like MemSQL, like SingleStore, can work for them.
No, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that I've always said is that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And talk about that phrase, Jordan and I speak to a ton of customers on a weekly basis. It's actually my favorite part of my job. The other part is actually not that interesting. And in doing so, one of the conversations that Jordan and I had that was probably the most intriguing conversation we've had in a long time was with John Nicastro, who's the Senior Vice President and Head of Enterprise Data Office at SiriusXM. And in fact, John is here to join us, which I shouldn't be a great. So welcome, John. Welcome to the show, and it's great to. So John, thank you. It's great to have you here. So why don't we start off by you introducing yourself a little bit and telling us a little more about the value of data at SiriusXM, as you guys call yourself a data company, and heading data for this company is, I'm sure, a privilege and an honor for you. So yeah, over to you, John.
Thank you, Raj, and good to see you again, Jordan. Yeah, it well said, Raj. It is a privilege, and I view my role like this. At SiriusXM, we have this unique and amazing curated content, and we need to match that with the best customer experience. So the question sometimes is, how do we achieve this? And for me, at the core of that is data and analytics and building out this intelligence enterprise. And to get there, you need to get the foundational things right. And one of those is, how do we connect our data? How do we ensure good data quality, transparency, trust, accessibility? Ultimately, it's my job to ensure that we have a viable path to drive sustainable value out of this data asset of ours. So that's how I view my role, and it's a big role, and I am privileged to have it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, John. Thank you for that introduction. And there was this conversation that we had where you started off by saying, Enjoy your afternoon. Sorry, something I said that got one of the PDAs all excited. So John, there was a conversation that we recently had, and we were talking about a lot of ways to manage data, etc. And then the conversation took a very interesting turn. And you said, yeah, we can do all of this, and we're excited to part SingleStore to do all of that. However, I have a wish list. So before I go any further, why don't you tell our audience about that wish list, because I think it was very intriguing. And then Jordan, you can value add there as well.
Sure, I'd love to. And let me just take 2 minutes to kind of put this into context of our business a little bit. So at SiriusXM, there are several aspects to our business model, right? First and foremost, we have the in-vehicle business, which I call more of an experience, because we have this next generation platform in the vehicle called 360L, which continues to roll out, and it has both satellite and IP capability. It reminds me of my telecom days when we were rolling out two-way digital set-top boxes, and so it gives us this incredible opportunity to leverage data to personalize the experience and provide interactive features. And then you also have the streaming side of it, which is taking this listening experience beyond the car into mobile, into web, and into the connected device that you just triggered. And at my house on Saturday night, it's, hey, Alexa, play 80s on 8 on SiriusXM, and we're all off and dancing. But with the Pandora acquisition, you also have the streaming B2C business, but you have this robust B2B business with our ad tech and our digital audio sales capabilities. And so when you combine that with Stitcher, with our commercial partnerships, what you really have is just more than 150 million listeners. It's just a tremendous opportunity for us. But if you take a step back from that, from a data perspective, it's equally challenging and complex. And so you have many, many different workloads at different speeds. And it requires either specialized storage or specialized computational needs. Some of those are transactional in nature. Some of those are analytical in nature. And so going back to the conversation that we had, it was just I think for us, it's not just a wish list, but it's almost a mandate, because we have to manage this at such a tremendous scale in a distributed nature, right? Both hybrid and multi-cloud. And when you think about that, sometimes it's either we organically designed it that way, or sometimes it was due because of an acquisition. And we need to find ways to connect our data. But as you start stepping into the cloud, some of the challenges that we have are, how do you deal with things like latency and data duplication and data gravity, right? Specifically, Jordan mentioned how we bring computation closer to the data, which really resonates with us. And then, of course, part of my job is to look at cost optimization and how do you control things like data egress from the cloud, or cluster management. And so the stack has obviously gotten very much wider and deeper. And every day we look for those opportunities to consolidate, to optimize, and to really to simplify our stack, right? Not just for cost, but things also like, how do we best secure and manage our data? And so that's where really I think that conversation that we had came from. It was looking at the complexity of our environment and the day-to-day challenges that we deal with, and seeing how best we can solve for those.
And I think that conversation that we had triggered a conversation between you and Jordan, and I must tell you a story about that. So Jordan comes into my digital office now, and sends me a Slack, says we must talk, and I was like, all right, fine. So we got on to the Google Hangout or Zoom or what have you, and he says, I kept telling you about this, bringing compute to storage rather than moving data. And that's exactly the conversation that John and I had. And we absolutely, absolutely must do this. And actually, not must do that, we have to do this. So I said, okay. So John, your conversation with Jordan cost me many millions of dollars. But Jordan, why don't we talk about that. And I believe you have a major announcement to make, which will please John a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, it all goes back actually to the name SingleStore. Is if you really want to have a single store for your data, then you can't have the silos of what's going to be in Amazon East 1 versus Google Cloud West 1 versus your on-prem data center in New Jersey. And so when we kind of think about how do we really actually build the single store, we came up with we're calling it Global Store, which is treating all of your data and actually all of the data that we know about as one single global storage system. And then which we move subject to data constraints. Like you may have data on-prem that you don't want to go in the cloud, which is fine. You just put a constraint on it and say you don't want it to go in the cloud. You may have data that's on AWS that you want to be also in GCP. You just don't put constraints on it. And if you need to use that data from GCP, we will kind of silently behind the scenes move that data to GCP. We might move it on-prem. And then if you want to migrate from on-prem to the cloud, all you have to do is basically remove the constraint on your data that says keep this on-prem, and we will kind of silently move that into the cloud. So it's this global namespace of data that the data is where you need it to be, and where you require it to we will obey the controls that you have on your data, which are extremely, extremely important. But on the other hand, for the most part, people don't want to move data, and so we want to take the data movement out of the hands of people who don't want to have to worry about it, and we want to handle that for you.
No, I was just going to add. Listen, this is one of the reasons why we're excited about the opportunity of working together. And because it embraces this innovative spirit, and at SiriusXM, we're constantly thinking about how to improve or challenge the status quo. I love the fact that we have partners who match our enthusiasm, our passion, and our constant pursuit of there has to be a better way. And so it's really refreshing to hear this global namespace that you're after, Jordan, because I think it's going to really change the game.
It was just an absolute delight, John and Jordan, to have you join me this morning on this momentous day. John, I love the passion and the energy that you put into your job, into your role, into thinking about data and how we can use data to not only improve businesses but lives. It's just phenomenal to call you my friend and a very close business partner. Jordan, I'm not sure if you know what you signed up for, buddy, but thank you for agreeing to be my partner. It's a privilege, and it's going to be a fun ride. So thank you both, and you make me better. You make a SingleStore better, and in doing so, hopefully, we together make this world better using data and innovative technologies. So I end this session this morning feeling like the luckiest man in the world to have a partner in business like John, who we call a customer, and a partner in business alongside me like Jordan, who again is one of the most visionary minds in data that I have ever come across. So I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I did, and thank you for your time and attention. And stay well, stay safe, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.